we're side by side now in California getting ready to pollinate the almonds. So the truck drivers truck in pollen until the bloom, and then during that 2-week bloom, the bees will pollinate. They'll then, they have those geolocators, so they'll come back home, and then they're taken to the blueberry yards to pollinate. So the bees are stressed, the bees are tired, and the bees are overworked. And that's what's happening to our bees. So, because you and I need to have almonds at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, summer, winter, fall, spring, as a population, we eat more. We have to figure out how to feed ourselves. So that's what's happening with a lot of these crops that need to be pollinated. And then when it comes to the pesticides and neonicotinoids, neonics are systemic pesticides. So lots of times seeds are treated with them. And when you plant them, they're meant to protect from pests and diseases, and they do a great job. And we have to protect from pests and diseases, otherwise you and I don't have food, because we all eat too much. We all eat a lot. So what happens is it goes into the root, it goes into the plant, it goes into the bud, it goes into the flower, it goes into the nectar, it goes into the pollen. Adult bees come and get to it. Maybe it's not a big deal for an adult bee, and that's what a lot of places will say. They'll say, it's been proven, it doesn't impact adult bees. Well, what does the adult bee do with the nectar and the pollen? And who do they feed it to? Not adult bees. 4-day-old larvae. So we have to study it more, and we have to learn more, so we're not making knee-jerk reactions and eliminating these things, but we've got some balance. The other thing is, if you and I have the choice between an unblemished apple at $1.29 a pound and a blemished apple at $1.29 a pound, we're going to pick the unblemished apple. And so the growers are forced to do something about the pests. Otherwise, we're not going to buy their crop. So there's a price to pay for everything. Yes?
What about lawn fertilizers and lawn pest control and all that? Does that have a bearing on bees?
2 schools of thought on that. It's a wonderful, wonderful conversation. Bees don't visit grass. They would have no reason to land on your grass.
Or clover?
Clover they are going to land on. Clover honey's fabulous. So if I have one of those lawns that I put broad spectrum weed killer on and I don't have any clover and all I have is grass, conversation is it still seeps down into the groundwater and it may make its way back. Does it cleanse itself enough? I'm not an expert in that area, so I don't know. But I have clover in bloom in my yard, and I keep clover in bloom in my yard, and there's no way I'm going to put anything on there that might harm them. So, yes.
Now, if I wanted to join one of the bee membership, how do I contact to find out where I should be joining, and where do I start with that?
So, NewHampshireBeekeepers.org is the state website. Bless you. And there are links to all of the local clubs. Bless you, bless you. And all of the clubs would love to have you just come and visit. Just come and sit in on a couple of meetings. And see if you like it. Every club is different. They all have a little different focus. They'll feel a little bit different. But I would encourage you all just to go and sit and visit. A lot of the clubs have kids that will attend. Some have children who aren't interested, so they make sure that they can entertain themselves, bring coloring books or silent iPads or whatever it is they've got. But one of my favorite beekeepers is an 8-year-old named Nick, who won a hive in a hive raffle as the new beekeeper, and was so excited the first day he got bee poop on him, because he was out there and he was handling the bees, and he asked amazing questions, and his parents are really supportive. So, yes.
I know you mentioned that before, but when is it going to start?
You typically have to order your bees no later than February. End of February. The Seacoast beekeepers have their beekeeping classes coming up in the fall. Everyone else does them in the spring. And so they'll start advertising them anywhere between November and January.
I don't know who's exactly
Go to one of the clubs and they'll tell you. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great question, because not all beekeepers are created equal, and not all suppliers are created equal. Many of the clubs will get together and pool a lot of resources. We have a couple of people that bring in bees So they actually drive down to Georgia, they'll truck up the bees in trucks, and you go to their house or their apiary and pick them up. You can also get them through the mail. Post office loves it when the bees come in, you get that call.
Really?
Exact, pardon? You delivered many? Okay, so yeah, some of them love them and some of them love them. The one thing I do suggest is that people will sometimes buy queens, so their queen is dying, or they want to replace, or they want a new queen. If the queens are shipped in the mail, it's a very hard process on the queens. And if you can't get them picked up, and if they're delivered to your mailbox, that queen, yeah, it's not pretty. The queen, she'll overheat. Yeah.
How far is their foraging range? Like, say you had bees, how far do they go? Like 10 feet, 20 feet, 100?
Bees will go further than your garden where you want them to pollinate,
Oh, okay.
up to 2 miles,
2 months.
even up to 3. So they'll go in a radius. So they'll go as far as they need to get food and water.